Hello guys, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome back. So welcome to Textbook Regulatory Bodies. So guys, in this particular session, we are going to continue with our management descriptive session. Okay. So today's topic is around personality and personality, where we are going to discuss one question around the personality trait, right? So I hope सबने ये आपका personality theory study किया होगा, ठीक है? So here we are going to discuss a question around explain how Gordon Allport trait theory categorize trait and significance of the hierarchy of trait in understanding an individual personality. Okay, so this is a completely static question. For this kind of question, you need to build your understanding around the topics. Okay. So when it comes to the Gordon Allport trait theory, so to understand complexities of a person's personality, basically trait like we have three trait आपका. One is the core trait आपका, that is generally known as cardinal trait. Then we have central trait, and then we have secondary trait. And these three categories are this hierarchy of trait that generally differentiate individual from each others, right? So how we will write about this particular question? First, we will explain the trait theory of Gordon Allport. Again, the three major dimension of this particular theory: cardinal trait, आपका, then one unique trait which generally explain the overall feature of that particular personality. Again, central trait which is surrounding the cardinal trait, and secondary trait which is also known as your situational trait आपका, ठीक है? So which, like cardinal and central, they are mostly stable in nature, but situational which generally or the secondary trait which generally varies with the situation and all, okay? Then we will use these particular one, how a manager can use these one to understand a person's personality, right? So we will start with this particular session with the introduction part itself, okay? So Gordon Allport trait theory categorize personality into three levels. First आपका cardinal, then central, and then आपका secondary trait. These traits define an individual behavior, influencing how they interact with the world itself. Okay? So cardinal trait, if it comes to the cardinal trait, are rare but highly influential, demonstrating a person's entire life and becoming synonyms with their identity. Historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi, known for the unwavering commitment to non-violence, or Mother Teresa, recognized for her deep compassion, amplify such a trait and all. Okay? So basically what they have done, okay? So cardinal trait is something, one trait, let's say if we are recommending our friend as a Mahatma Gandhi, ठीक है? अगर हम example दे रहे हैं कि my friend is like Mahatma Gandhi, that means that person is a believer of non-violence, ठीक है? तो वो अहिंसा में आपका विश्वास रखते हैं, ठीक है? Like if we are referring someone as Mother Teresa, so that person is known for the basically that helpful nature और कहीं ना कहीं सेल्फलेसनेस. तो ये सारी चीजें जो आपको वहां पे देखने के लिए मिलेंगी, ठीक है? सो दिस दैट ट्रेट इज जनरली नोन एज cardinal trait, one trait which generally explain the whole life of that particular person आपका. These traits define their legacy and influence every aspect of their decision making and the interactions. Central trait which are mostly around these cardinal trait, again. So if a person believe in non-violence, so that means that person is believe in आपका equality, fairness, honesty and all those kind of things. So these are equality, fairness, honesty are the central trait in that particular case. So on the other hand, these are the core building blocks of the personality. These traits are not dominant as cardinal trait, but are still fundamental in shaping a person's general behaviors. So characteristics like honesty, kindness, and assertiveness are example of central trait, as they constantly guide a person's actions across different situations. Okay, so these are the central trait. Now the situational trait or secondary trait, which generally like cardinal and central are basically most of the time they are stable in nature, but this is something which generally depend on the situation. ठीक है, जैसे I used to give example of Rahul Dravid. So Rahul Dravid used to play very defensive. ठीक है, so बहुत ही cool काम से आपका, but we have experienced some areas आपका और some events जहाँ पे that was the requirement of the situation और उन्होंने अपने गेम को उसी अकॉर्डिंग से आपका चेंज किया. ठीक है, so secondary trait are more situational and very depending on the context. They are not as prominent as central trait but still influence behavior under specific circumstances. ठीक है, और generally calm and patient individual may display aggression during competitive sports. These trait highlights how a personality can be adaptable, allowing individual to respond differently to varying environment. Okay, as I gave you an example of Rahul Dravid. So you can have these kind of examples, and if you give those kind of examples also, so they'll also support your answers. Okay, so now how this hierarchy of trait is going to help to understand the personality. Okay, the second part of the question. So hierarchy of trait in Gordon-Allport theory is significant in understanding personality by explaining individual differences, predicting behavior, and recognizing personality development. Understanding individual differences is essential because every person possesses a unique combination of cardinal, central, and secondary trait. This explains why individuals react differently the same situation. For example, a naturally assertive person may take a charge in a group while a more reserved individual may prefer to observe. Okay. So additionally, the hierarchy of a trait aid in predicting behavior by identifying dominant trait. If a person is known for their honesty, they are likely to maintain integrity even in challenging situation. This predictive aspect help in professional, social, and personal interactions. So importance of these particular traits as well, right? So now we'll come to the other part. Okay, so personality development is reflected in how secondary trait evolve over time. While central trait remains stable, secondary trait may shift due to experiences and personal growth. This adaptability show that personality is dynamic rather than the fixed one. Okay? So now the final part of conclusion. I hope you got this particular one. Okay? So see, to write answer around these type of question, okay, there are so many cases where they have asked direct question around the theories और अराउंड द कॉन्सेप्ट. ठीक है, तो ऐसे क्वेश्चन को लिखना आसान है अगर आपने उनको पढ़ा हुआ है. ठीक है, सो अल्पर्ट हायरार्की ऑफ ट्रेट offer a structured way to understand personality by focusing on individual uniqueness rather than broad generalized behavior pattern. Unlike theories that categorize people into fixed personality type, Alpert approach recognize that each person has a unique combination of cardinal, central, and secondary trait, shaping their distinct behaviors. This perspective highlights the personality is not uniform across individuals, but rather a dynamic interplay of dominant and situational traits. By emphasizing the personal characteristics over a rigid classification, Alpert theory provides a more fixed and realistic understanding of human behavior, allowing for deeper insight into individual differences. ठीक है, so now I'll first एक बार जल्दी से मैं आपको दोबारा से क्वेश्चन दिखाऊंगा. ठीक है, सो दिस वाज द क्वेश्चन, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन आपका. ठीक है, आपका गॉर्डन एल्पार्ट स्ट्रेट थ्योरी. ठीक है, व्हाट इज द थ्योरी एंड दीज थ्री एरियाज एंड आपका सो दे आर जस्ट आस्क यू अबाउट द थ्योरी and the uses of that particular theory to understand the individual personality. Here the introduction part, then we introduce all the three areas of this particular one. Then uses आपका in organization, how this theory can help managers to understand the different personalities of individuals, and then the आपका uses and conclusion. I hope you enjoy this particular one. ठीक है, so next week I'll see you with one another theory आपका or one another descriptive questions. ठीक है, so every week Monday at 7 p.m. we'll be doing these kind of practices. So you guys can also share your like topics where you want such type of practice and all. ठीक है, तो आप लोग अपने comments के अंदर mention कर दीजिए इन टॉपिक के अराउंड आपको कहीं ना कहीं डिस्क्रिप्टिव प्रैक्टिस करना है. सो आई विल मेक श्योर कि द कमिंग सेशन विल बी अराउंड दैट पर्टिकुलर वन ओनली, राइट? So, and if you have any feedback, suggestion, please do mention into the comment section. So this is it from my side, guys. Thank you for joining this session. Thank you for watching this session. Bye bye. Take care all. Have a nice day. Thank you.